Well, hello and welcome to the Celebration Machine. I'm your host, Pete Hammond. Thank you for joining me here today. This video is about the first time I had a real powerful experience with what I think was the afterlife. The story starts, I'm 27 years old, and I just lost a good childhood friend to cystic fibrosis, and his name was Eddie. So Eddie was a really, really good guy, super funny, super talented, amazing artist, just a fantastic human being that had to deal with cystic fibrosis, which eventually, like I said, took him out when he was 27. Eddie was a good friend. I used to go hang out in his driveway because he had an oxygen hose that was like 200 feet long. And when I was going through treatment, and prior to that, when I'd lost my mind and I was on medical leave, home from work, I'd go over to Eddie's and we'd have great talks in the driveway. And he was just a really solid guy. So when Eddie died, it was hard. Of course, like a lot of people, I felt like I didn't do enough. I was racked with guilt, and I felt like I just hadn't been there enough for my friend. One night, I had this dream, and it was an incredibly powerful dream. I was in this super bright white light space, and out of this bright white light comes my friend Eddie. And he's dressed in his favorite outfit. He looks amazing. He looks healthy. And I could feel him, more importantly. I could feel his presence, and I started weeping immediately, and I was like, oh my God, Eddie, you look great, man. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I'm so sorry that I wasn't a good friend or the best friend that I could be. And I'm sorry your life got cut short. Like everything I wanted to say, I was saying in this dream. And Eddie was just like, man, I'm good. Don't worry about it. And I could feel how he felt. It wasn't just words and hearing words. It was like I could feel that he was good. And I could feel that he was whole, and I could feel that he was in a completely different place and space. So as we're having this conversation and I'm talking to him and I'm having all these powerful feelings and I'm crying, I'm realizing there's something about him that just looks different. So I wake up and again, I'm crying and I'm really upset, but happy to have seen him, but I'm freaked out. And again, I'm thinking there's something about him that doesn't look right, And I kind of just, fall back asleep and go about my day. I get up, whatever, life goes on. So a couple of weeks later, I ran into his brother at the bar and we're having some drinks and talking. And of course, once we got a little lubricated, we started talking about Eddie. And I said to him, John, I don't know if you want to hear this, but I had a pretty crazy dream about Eddie. And I went on to tell him about, how he looked fantastic and how he looked super healthy. And he said all these things like, he's good, he's great, everything's wonderful, don't worry about it, I love you. And he was just, so John, obviously he's getting really emotional hearing this about his brother. And, but I had to tell him, and then I said to him, but there was something really weird. And by that time I'd figured out what it was that was strange about the dream. And what it was that the whole time Eddie was talking to me, his eyes were closed like this. He'd talk to me the whole time and his eyes were closed. And I'd realized that by that point. So I said to John, there's something really strange about this whole thing. I said, he had his eyes closed the whole time we were talking. And John got this look on his face like he'd seen a ghost. And he said, holy shit, man. He goes, I'm going to tell you something that nobody knows. I said, what's that? And he said the only thing that was good that we could donate from Eddie's body were his eyes. And when you'd seen him in the casket, his eyes, they'd been donated. And I got the chills and I freaked out because to me, that was a very definitive sign that I was talking to my friend Eddie. Whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter to me because to me, that was one of the most powerful things that had happened to me up to that point. It gave me the chills and it also scared me. And that was probably the most interesting part of it is why did that scare me? What would be so bad about an afterlife? Anyway, that was the first time I really realized that, oh my God, maybe things go on after this life and maybe life goes on after death. And I'll just never forget the feeling when John told me about Eddie having donated his eyes. It still freaks me out, almost 30 years later. So that's when I believed in the afterlife for the first time, or at least had a very strong suspicion that it was a thing, So hopefully you like that story. I miss Eddie a lot. I would love to see him again. And I guess maybe, given the story I just told you, maybe one day I will. So thank you very much. My name's Pete. This is a Celebration Machine. Have yourself a great day.